You changed your own batteries, you rewired a panel, you patched a blister, and your insurer just used every one of those fixes to cancel your policy. In August 2025, the American Boat and Yacht Council updated 14 technical standards, from lithium battery systems to fuel venting to hull lamination. Overnight, insurers gained 14 new benchmarks to hold your boat against, standards that did not even exist when you did the work. And here is what makes it devastating. They do not have to prove your repair caused the loss. A Supreme Court ruling confirmed that an insurer can deny a collision claim over expired fire extinguishers even though no fire ever occurred. The fix does not have to be related, it just has to be non-compliant. Is your boat insured, or are you just paying a premium for the illusion of coverage? We are counting down 10 ordinary do-it-yourself repairs that have quietly become the 10 tripwires insurers use to walk away when you need them most. Some of these will surprise you. One will infuriate you. Let us start with number 10. In 10th place, lithium-ion battery banks built at home, especially those missing a true battery management system, BMS, or proper string fusing, have become the opening move in the insurer's cancellation playbook. The American Boat and Yacht Council E-13 standard, revised in August 2025, now requires every lithium install to include an integrated battery management system, BMS, with cell balancing, temperature monitoring, and a fail-safe disconnect. If your do-it-yourself bank totals over 500 amp hours, each parallel string must carry its own fuse. Skip either step, and you have handed your carrier a technicality with teeth. Insurers are no longer shy about using it. Pantanius, one of the world's largest marine insurers, has warned in public forums that do it yourself. Lithium installs are a concern. The result? Policy language that lets the carrier halve your payout or void it entirely if there is no compliant battery management system, BMS, at the time of loss, even if the claim has nothing to do with the battery. Reports from owner forums and settlement documents confirm that several major carriers now cap lithium-related payouts at 50% for non-compliant installs, with the rest left on the owner's shoulders. This is not about whether your install caught fire, it is about whether your paperwork matches the latest E-13 clause. The first tripwire is set, the next is only a wire away. Number 9. Panel rewiring, the silent assassin of marine insurance. It starts with a simple job, a new chart plotter, a radio upgrade, maybe a few extra LED lights. You pull the panel, run fresh wire, and close it up, proud of a tidy install. But if your math is off, if the voltage drop exceeds 3% on a navigation or fire circuit, your insurer has everything they need to walk away. The August 2025 revision of ABYC Standard E-11 spells it out in black and white. Critical circuits must hold voltage drop under 3%, and every conductor must be marine-grade tinned copper, not hardware store aluminum. Yet denial memos from major underwriters show a pattern. Claims are denied, reasons given include non-marine wire used or voltage drop exceeded on a critical circuit. The fuse you skipped, the shortcut in the wire gauge, the aluminum strand from the auto parts store, each one becomes an exit door. It does not matter if the fire started in a completely different part of the boat. The technicality is enough. And now, with insurers embedding E-11 compliance directly into policy language, a single overlooked wire can void your coverage after the fact. It's not about safety, it's about leverage. The wiring you did for your own peace of mind is now a loaded trap, waiting for the next claim to spring. In 8th place, solar panels and inverter upgrades, once the badge of a forward-thinking skipper, have become a fresh liability in the insurer's arsenal. The moment you add a 2,000-watt inverter or a rooftop solar array without alerting your carrier, you have crossed into what underwriters now call a material change of risk. Policies from the major carriers cite this phrase with clinical precision. Any unreported modification that alters the vessel's power load or wiring layout can void your coverage, regardless of whether it triggered the loss. The 2025 ABYC E-13 standard is clear. Propulsion system wiring must use 70 degrees Celsius marine-grade cable, and every connection must be permanent. No home run splices, no hardware store quick fixes. Yet in practice, do it yourself. Solar and inverter installs often cut corners. A single non-compliant splice or a stretch of wire that cannot handle the inverter's surge hands the insurer a technicality they are eager to exploit. Underwriting bulletins from 2025 list undisclosed inverters above 2 kilowatts as a material risk, demanding full documentation and surveyor sign-off. Ignore this, and the insurer's exit door swings wide. The message, buried in the fine print, is blunt. Every power upgrade is a disclosure duty. Fail to report, and your insurance is as fragile as your weakest splice. Number 7. Engine repower, the silent policy killer hiding in the engine bay. For decades, swapping out a tired diesel or upgrading to a modern outboard was a badge of pride among hands-on owners. But today, a single undisclosed engine swap is enough to void your entire policy, no matter how expertly the work was done. The December 2025 wording from Casey Insurance spells it out with chilling clarity. Failure to report any change of propulsion system prior to operation shall render this policy null and void. It does not matter if the new engine is safer, cleaner, or factory certified. If the carrier finds out after a claim, especially after a fire or fuel incident, they have their exit door. The 2025 ABYC E-13 standard now requires that every gasoline engine install include a heat shield rated to 300 degrees Fahrenheit and a choke lock device to prevent accidental flooding. Miss either detail or install the engine yourself without documenting every step, and the insurer can walk away from a total loss. Surveyor reports in the past year show a spike in denials citing undisclosed repower or non-compliant heat shield. Owners who thought they were improving their boats instead handed the insurer a technicality. The rules have changed. Every engine swap is a disclosure event. Fail to report and your policy isn't worth the paper it is printed on. Number 6. Fuel system modifications, the quietest time bomb in the insurance arsenal. For decades, swapping out a cracked vent hose or adding a second tank was routine maintenance. Now it is a technicality waiting to detonate. The August 2025 revision to ABYC E-13 closes every loophole. Every fuel tank must have 2 vents, not 1, a pressure relief vent and a closed-loop deck vent, both routed with corrosion-resistant hose and fitted with stainless steel flame arresters. No more plastic vent caps, no more quick connect kits. Miss a single vent or leave off a flame arrestor, and your insurer has a bulletproof reason to walk away after a fire, even if the loss had nothing to do with the fuel system. Adjuster memos from 3 major carriers cite single vent present, non-compliant with H24 as grounds for total denial. The logic is as cold as it gets. If your do-it-yourself work doesn't match the latest ABYC clause, you are out. The pressure relief valve must hold at least 5 pounds per square inch, and the pump circuit needs a resettable fuse capped at 15 amps. Skip any of these, and you have handed the insurer a technicality they can use to void your policy no matter where the fire started or whether it started at all. This is not about fire prevention. It is about giving the carrier a lever to pry you off the policy after the fact. The rules have changed, and the next exit door is hiding in your fuel locker. Number 5. Through hull replacements and seized seacocks, the silent saboteurs of insurance coverage. It sounds like routine maintenance, swapping out a corroded fitting, adding a new transducer, or finally replacing a stubborn seacock that has been frozen since launch. But in August 2025, the ABYC E-13 revision changed the game. Every through hull now demands a reinforced backing plate, 2 inches of steel or marine-grade composite anchored to a structural frame. No more bronze plumbing from the hardware store, and no more plywood washers. If a diver photo shows a plastic through hull or a seized valve, insurers have all the evidence they need. The S40 standard is explicit. Seacocks must be operable by hand, and every penetration below the waterline must be framed to resist catastrophic impact. Miss a single detail, and you've just handed your carrier a technicality with teeth. Denials come swift. Claim denied, failure to install, ABYC E-13 compliant seacock, vessel flooded through non-reinforced penetration. It does not matter if the loss started elsewhere. The mere presence of a non-marine fitting or a valve that will not budge is enough to void your coverage. Survey reports from the past year reveal a pattern. Insurers using underwater photos and surveyor notes to pin the blame for flooding on the owner's neglect, even when the repair had nothing to do with the loss. The logic is as cold as the water rushing in. One non-compliant through hull, and your policy becomes as worthless as a seized valve in a rising bilge. Number 4. Fiberglass hull repairs. The invisible trap waiting beneath the waterline. For decades, a home-patched hull was a badge of resourcefulness, a mark of the owner who refused to let a stray dock or hidden rock end a season. But the August 2025 update to ABYC E-13 changed the game. Now, every hull repair, no matter how small, must pass a core bond test for shear strength, with layup tables specifying ply count, resin type, and cure schedule. Surveyors are instructed to core sample any visible patch and compare its bond to the E-13 minimums. If the lab finds a debond even 40% below spec, the insurer has all the ammunition they need. The patch might look perfect, but if a single layer is too thin or if the wrong resin was used, the entire repair is deemed non-compliant. The result is coverage denied for any structural failure, flood, or even unrelated loss. Denial letters now cite E-13 bisection, and they state, claim denied, hull repair, failed mandatory core bond test. It does not matter if the accident was caused by a submerged log or a storm. The mere presence of a weak layup is enough. For the do-it-yourself owner, the hull is no longer just fiberglass and hope. It is a technicality waiting to be weaponized. The next exit door is not just in the wiring or the fuel locker. Now it is hiding in every patch you ever made. Number 3. Standing rigging age and the peril of do-it-yourself swaging. The 10-year replacement rule has become the sharpest hook insurers use to hang a dismasting on the owner. It does not matter if your wires gleam or your turnbuckles are freshly polished. If you cannot prove the rigging was replaced within the past decade, you are already on the wrong side of the policy. The ABYC E-25 standard, updated for 2025, sets a hard line on corrosion and galvanic isolation for every metal fitting above deck. Surveyors are now told to check for stamped dates on swages and to demand receipts for every major rig job. If a shroud snaps, even in a storm, the first question is not about weather, it is about paperwork. Uncertified home swages, no matter how carefully crimped, are a red flag. ABYC E-25 calls for documented galvanic isolation, sacrificial anodes, and evidence that every fitting was installed with proper separation from dissimilar metals. Miss a step, and the surveyor's report becomes the insurer's excuse. Denial letters quote the 10-year benchmark as gospel, often concluding with the phrase, coverage excluded, rigging age undocumented, or exceeds service interval. The result is a reversal of fault. A dismasting, once an act of God, is now a technicality pinned on the owner's maintenance log. The logic is as cold as the broken mast in the water. If you cannot prove your rigging is under 10 years old and installed to the letter of ABYC E-25, your policy is as fragile as your oldest swage. The next trap is waiting in the environmental fine print, but the structural gauntlet is already set. Number 2. Restricted bottom paint, the environmental tripwire that turns your hull into a liability. The rules here are not buried in the ABYC manual or hidden in a technical appendix. They are posted on marina bulletin boards and spelled out in Port Authority circulars. Use of tributyl-based paints or copper anti-fouling above 4,000 parts per million is banned in dozens of US harbors and coastal states. California, Washington, and Connecticut each has its own list of outlawed biocides, enforced not just by the EPA but by local inspectors who scrape hulls and send samples to the lab. The shock comes when you realize insurers have quietly built this regulatory minefield into their policies. The illegal acts exclusion, once reserved for smuggling or fraud, now reads, Any loss arising from the use of a substance prohibited by law shall void this contract. It does not matter if your claim is for a lightning strike or a galley fire. If a diver's photo or a marina audit reveals a banned paint on your hull, the insurer has their exit door. Denial letters cite the port's own ban list, quote the copper count, and close with a line that chills the blood. Coverage excluded due to violation of environmental regulation. The logic is cold and the evidence is forensic. Several major US ports now require annual declarations of paint type, and insurers have begun requesting these records at renewal or after a claim. A single misstep, a can of the wrong bottom paint, a patch job with a banned biocide, and your entire policy is at risk. Compliance is theoretically simple. Use only approved products, keep receipts, and verify with the marina. But the reality is a paperwork trap, primed to snap shut after the fact. The environmental clause is not about safety or pollution. It is about giving the insurer another lever, another technicality, another reason to walk away when you need them most. The final exit door is still ahead, but for many owners, the trap is already set beneath the waterline. And finally, in first place, expired safety equipment. The universal policy killer hiding in plain sight. It doesn't matter if your boat is a pristine showpiece or a battered workhorse, if a fire extinguisher is out of date, if a flare expired last spring, or if a single life jacket is past its certification, you've handed your insurer the master key to void your claim. The language is right there in black and white. Most marine policies carry an explicit warranty that all required safety equipment must be maintained in serviceable, up-to-date condition. This isn't about whether you had a fire or whether the loss was related to safety gear at all. It's about a breach of warranty, one the Supreme Court now says voids coverage on the spot, no matter the cause of loss. Adjuster letters tell the story in chilling detail. A snapped photo of an expired flare, a close-up of a corroded extinguisher gauge, a checklist that notes a missing whistle. These become the evidence. The denial comes swift, often with a single phrase. Warranty breach, safety equipment expired at time of loss, coverage void. There is no room for argument, no chance to explain that the fire started in the galley or that the theft was unrelated to your PFD inventory. The insurer doesn't have to prove causation. The Supreme Court's ruling in the Raiders case made sure of that. The mere existence of a breach, no matter how trivial, no matter how unrelated, disqualifies you from any payout. It's a system built to catch the smallest oversight. The cost to fix? A few dollars for a new flare, a fresh tag on a fire extinguisher, a replacement PFD. The cost to miss it? Total loss of coverage, even after decades of paying premiums and never filing a claim. This is the final exit door, the one every carrier keeps wide open. In a world where policy language is weaponized against the very owners it's supposed to protect, the lesson is as simple as it is infuriating. Your insurance is only as strong as the freshest date stamp on your safety gear. Miss it, and you're not just underinsured, you are uninsured by design. Across all 10 so-called liabilities, one pattern is undeniable. Insurers have turned routine maintenance into an arsenal of exit doors. The rules aren't about seaworthiness, they are about plausible deniability. For every DIY sailor out there, your policy isn't a safety net. It's a trap, woven from shifting standards and fine print. Your boat is only as insured as the weakest page of your documentation. Stay vigilant and don't let them write you off.